And hello, welcome everybody to the Touching You Talk Show Network. This is Ask an Autism Mom podcast. I am one of your hosts, Rochelle Kent, and I am here with the other amazing host of Ask an Autism Mom podcast, Dr. Yolanda McKinney.
Everybody, welcome.
So today we are going to be talking about transitioning from early childhood to teenage. We know that with neurotypical children, we know that there's benchmarks and milestones that happen, but those same things still happen with our children who have autism. They just present in different ways and at times bring up different challenges. So today, let's start off, Dr. Yolanda. Let's start off talking about the reality of what it's like when your child is going from like 8, 9, 10, and now there's those teen years. What is it like with a child becoming a teen with autism?
So first of all, I think it's unfamiliar, right? And it is incredibly overwhelming because you just don't know what to expect. You know what's about to happen, like puberty is about to hit, but you don't know exactly, to your point earlier, how that's going to present in your child, right? So I just want to encourage parents, like, you've made it through early childhood, right? You got to pace yourself. You're growing. Just pretend you're growing right along with your children, right? Because you are.
Right.
So you've made it through early childhood, but now things are changing. And when you have to change the routine, we all know how that can present some challenges for our children, right? So they're going from puberty and then they want to be independent. Some areas they may be able to do that better than in other areas. They're starting to have their own identity. And as parents, we just aren't prepared, right? You aren't prepared if you have a typical child. Let's just, right? I'm an educator.
Right.
You aren't prepared if you have a typical child. I always tell people middle school is not my jam, right? It's not my jam. It's not my peanut butter. It's not my jelly. It's not any of that.
None of it.
That reason. So add autism on top of all the things that you see happening in middle school. And then here we are, right? And you're challenged with this. Do I let go? Do I still protect? How much do I guide? And so I would just present and share with all of you the scripture in Ecclesiastes 3:1. To everything, there is a season. This is a new season. God has given you grace for all the other seasons. He's going to give you grace for this one.
Yeah.
Because it's unfamiliar, it doesn't mean we're unprepared. I like to remind myself that God has already gone before me. He's already there. He's already here. Right. Even though I'm just getting here, God's already here, right? So
right.
For you, Rochelle, like, what was the first moment? Because you do have a son that's a teenager yet, or is getting close?
He's 12. He's about to be 13. So we are.
You
and then right the other one is 10. So I got preteen and teen.
So here we go. So he's almost there, Rochelle, right? So what kind of emotions are coming up for you when you think about him about to go into being a teenager?
So you know how, like, you hear that music at the beginning of The Exorcist, all that piano sound, or that the sound, the music that they play right when Jason's coming around the corner, and it's that's what it feels like. Like, I feel like I know it's coming, right? You hear the saxophone playing, the violin playing, saying, "Girl, get out of there, get out." But there's no exits.
No.
I'm stuck in it.
You are. And it's coming.
And it's coming
back to back. Like, so you'll have a 13-year-old and a 16-year-old.
Right.
An 18-year-old and a 16-year-old.
Exactly.
And
right. And and like I always tell people, both of them present autism differently.
Yes.
So my 12-year-old did not tell me when he started getting hair. Didn't tell me when he started feeling different things and emotions.
Yes.
Just one day he woke up and he's bawling. And I'm like, what's going wrong? He goes, I don't know. And I'm like,
Oh,
I don't know either. But then the 10-year-old, he comes up, he's like, look here, mom. You see this? You see this? I'm getting hair. And okay, yay. So
yeah,
now let me hide all the razors because I
right.
can't see this hair. And
And
you
he
don't
might start trying to shave it, the imaginary hairs that he sees.
right,
Right.
right. And he has a
Mhm.
10 and hit the way my 10-year-old's autism presents itself. He tends to have some OCD tendencies.
Same.
So I have to be careful with the shaving because he might nick himself and then start picking,
Right.
picking
Right.
until we
Now,
have a big,
mm,
looking like we're on Grey's Anatomy,
right.
you know.
Yes.
Where on the other side, because of sensory issues, I got to figure out how to remove all this hair. He's like Teen Wolf now. And, and I got to figure out how to remove all this hair in a way that doesn't trigger a sensory issue.
Yes.
So it's a
Right.
lot to take on. And that's the thing they don't tell you about autism. There aren't a lot of resources about that part,
No.
that transitioning. There's so much about when they're a toddler and
Yes.
early childhood. But
Mhm.
like you said, middle school, high school, and everything that comes with it.
Yes. Because to your point earlier, their bodies are still changing. Their
Yes.
bodies are still going through puberty. Their voice is still getting deeper. I still remember the first time Cameron said "mom," and I was like, where where'd that come from?" Right? Like,
A whole grown man.
when
A
did your
whole
voice
grown man.
when did your voice get deep? Right? And
Yeah.
like I always tell people, I knew something was happening when I went from mommy to mom. I was like,
Yeah.
and there's not daddy and dad. Now we're mom and dad. I'm like,
Right.
I don't know. So I don't know. Talk to me about body and emotions and all the things.
I just, with the transitioning, you have to be you almost have to be like an investigator.
Yes.
Especially if they have limited communication styles. You really have to like tap in on it a little bit, and you have to ask questions and you have to look at it like you go from being happy and sad, being like basically the biggest spectrum of what the emotions are,
Yes.
to now you got to add in confused and
Yes.
anxious and frustrated and just I don't want to do it. There, they
Are
still
you talking
have
about
it.
you or your son?
Oh, my son. Now
Whose emotions are those? Because I would say that I experienced all of those as well.
all and I do. Now if we're talking about my emotions, it is the biggest one is fear, because as he goes from childhood to teenager, it's like this nonstop clock ticking. Like I know, oh my goodness, I just fought for so many years to get X amount of services. And now it's like I see this cliff
And you're gonna
on
have
the
to,
horizon.
right? And it's the part that people don't talk about, where like there are certain stages to services. And let's not even talk about adulthood, like where I live right now,
Yes.
right? That is a whole different segment for a different podcast episode. But
Right.
there are these transitions also in level of support and intensity of support, and who
Yeah.
provides services for this age group, and who stops
Right.
services when they hit 13. And so you're constantly on this
Yeah.
cycle of trying to find the right support, the right people. And just when your child gets comfortable and you get comfortable, then we're in the next age group. It's time to move on to the next thing. So
Right. And unfortunately, especially for a lot of families down here in the South who are Black or Latino, um, our children aren't getting diagnosed until they're 6 or 7.
right.
So then you're waiting and you're fighting through, and they're not getting regular services until they're 8 or 9.
Right. Which already puts them at a deficit.
Puts them at a deficit because they already aged out of early childhood.
Yes, ma'am.
And so now you're getting like that last bit of services. Now you got to transition into that. And like you said, 13 brand new set of services. And a lot of those aren't covered by waivers and stuff down, well, at least down here in Texas. So you're paying out of pocket for day programs and things.
Time they're transitioning to a new school most times, right?
Yep.
Our grade bands here are K5, 6, 8, 9, 12. So right when they're about to turn in that they're transitioning to a new school, everything gets new. And then you throw in hygiene and social awareness and their mood swings, my mood swings, your mood swings, everybody's mood swings.
All of it.
So changes were hardest for you, do you think?
The changes that were hardest? I would say first would be the emotional side.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have a typical older son who's in his 20s, and went through that, and that was just what I was like, oh, regular teenage moodiness, like no one understands me, you know.
Yes.
Kind of a thing, like, oh, you're always asking me to do stuff, son. All I asked you to do is put the dish in the sink. That's it, you know. Right. But with my 12-year-old, with Ethan, it became more of a not just emotion, but we kind of regressed and lost some of that executive functioning with the emotion.
Okay.
So it was, oh, now the emotion is causing you not to be able to make a choice or to complete a task. Because now you're in this emotional kind of spiral that I have to try to snap you out of.
That's interesting.
Yeah, to get you to do something. An example of it would be I will put cups on the table because he likes to go get his own water.
Okay.
And one time I had 2 cups on the table. Both of them were blue. He was like, I'm thirsty. I said, well, Ethan, go get your cup. And he stood there for 5 minutes and started having a panic attack because he couldn't figure out which cup to pick.
Oh, yeah.
They were 2 of the exact same cups. Now, previously, he would have just walked over, even without asking. He would have walked over, grabbed that cup, and grabbed whatever was out of the refrigerator or was out to drink. Now it's like, I'm thirsty. Okay, what do we do when we're thirsty? We get water. Okay. So how do we get water? We get a cup. Okay, so get the cup, Ethan. But which cup? What happened? Is this the right cup?
Yeah.
You know, that kind of emotion. Yeah. I would say that was the biggest one. And then second to that would be just hygiene.
I was about to say. So how did you begin teaching like hygiene and body awareness?
You know what? I went back. I went back to what we did at the very beginning when we were teaching how to brush teeth, and he was back at 8 and 9. Break out the pictures. We broke out the pictures step by step, put it into the bathroom. We started watching YouTube videos on this is why we bathe, and this is how we bathe, and this is deodorant, and this is toothpaste, and this is how we brush our teeth. Like it became almost, I don't want to even say it's a regression, but I just had to run it back because I knew that's how he learned.
Yeah, and we did the same. We put the pictures up just, for teeth brushing, for body washing, for, all the things. And then when all else failed, husband, go in the bathroom with your son and work that out. make everything's what everything needs to be. And because even now, like haircuts and all that. My husband does that.
Yeah. I that's one of those things that the Lord has not blessed me with a husband to do those things as of yet. But I do have my older son, and we do, you know, try that. You know, we try to be like, look, this is, y'all can communicate in a way that I can't communicate
Right.
with it. You know,
Yeah.
you know, y'all are a coupe de ville and I am a sports car. It's
Right.
two different things. Okay. So I'm gonna need you to figure it out, to teach them how to take care of it and maintain
Well,
it.
I think too that that's a part, Rochelle, that we don't often talk about, right? There are single parents who are raising children on the autism spectrum who are, male or female opposite, because there are some dads, shout out
Yeah.
to all the dads who are doing their thing alone, right? And they have daughters. And so that's why it's important to have this, this village, this support group, this group of trusted people, because it can become so incredibly lonely, right? And so you get to
Yes.
this point where you want to let go, but you want to hold on, right? So you
Right.
want to teach your kids independence, but
Right.
you also want to protect them for everything, from everything. Like, you're still out
Right.
here with mama bear, right?
Mhm.
And so there's this tension that we get from between raising kids and releasing kids, right? Um, and I think that's the part that is the most challenging for me.
Yeah.
The
So how did you get to that place where you could release, like you could trust, like you're like, okay, he has it. He'll be okay. He'll get it. How did you get to that place?
so a lot of prayer, and to be perfectly honest, when Cameron started like taking the paratransit on his own, and so we have the regular DART bus service here, but we also have door-to-door service. You just
Okay.
have to like apply for it, and then if you're approved, you can get door-to-door service. So Cameron has door-to-door service when he wants to take the paratransit,
Okay.
and probably for the first month or two, I would stay at home when he had to take the paratransit. Sometimes
Okay.
I followed the bus. Like, I wasn't able. I was not able.
Just to let it go. Yeah.
And then once I realized like that he was able to do this on his own, but it was not easy for me.
It was a journey.
It Yeah, yes, ma'am, and a journey that I am still on, right? I
Yeah.
wish I could say that I'm totally, but for me, it was about his safety, right? He's
Right.
socially vulnerable. Everybody doesn't understand the way he communicates, right? Everybody doesn't understand. And I try to teach him, like, everybody's not going to understand when you do this or when you do that, which is another reason why I need you to always present a certain way. That's why I need you to make sure
Mm.
your brush, your hair is clean, your body is clean, right? I need you to present, to have as few distractions as
Mhm.
possible, or
Right.
that will cause attention to you, right?
Right. Right.
I'm always going to make sure that you're clean cut, and you're like, there was this over need to make sure that he presents, like, if he doesn't have any verbal interaction, his
Right.
presentation will keep him safe, because he will
Right.
look like every other person who's on, right. And
Right.
that doesn't necessarily work, because he has to communicate.
Right.
My
Right.
fear was that as soon as he opens his mouth, right, people are going to know he's different. And
Right.
I was very, I don't want to say I sheltered him, but I sheltered him. There
Yeah.
were certain places we went, very few places he went without me. And for
Yeah.
me, it was like continuously teaching communication, decision making, and you know how important the daily routine pieces are, right?
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
doing enough? Am I holding on too tight? Like, there's this, and like, Cameron will be 30 in June. And I'm still to this point where, like, we've been through, all the transitions, and now here we are. Like,
Yeah.
30 is pivotal. Like, we are a full fledged to your point, 21, we hadn't really gotten there, right?
Yeah,
We 30, we there, right? We're there. And there are certain expectations of a 30-year-old in this society, right? And
right, right.
there are certain things that you just need to be able to do. And I struggle, Rochelle. I really struggle with,
Yeah,
am I doing too much? Like, can I release this piece? Um,
yeah,
but it is incredibly difficult. It's incredibly
yeah.
difficult. And I
It,
know the Bible, train them up in the way they should go, done all the things, and it is
yeah,
still incredibly challenging. And I know it's different for every child, right?
yeah, yeah. Because it's like for my 12-year-old Ethan, I had to realize just today he had a therapy. And to be honest with you, this is the first time we walked in a parking lot and I was not holding his hand to cross the parking lot. And some people are like, girl, that's because you all controlling. No, it's because for years he was an eloper.
Yes.
So it was second nature. We get out of the car, go. I'll open the car door for you, everything. Today, I made a deliberate choice. Okay, Ethan, the door is unlocked to the car. Open the door. Get in. Get in. Then he put on a seatbelt. Okay. Then when we got there, he got out just fine. And then I was like, he put his hand out like he was going to hold my hand. And I just kind of walked by him and said, make sure there's no cars coming. That's all I said.
That is major, Rochelle.
Ooh, that was hard for me.
Yes, yes.
It
I
was hard.
understand.
Because we got across the parking lot, but then all of a sudden it was like squirrel and he started looking at the lines on the ground and almost ran into a woman.
Right, right.
So
Yeah.
it was like, okay, so we take one victory, no small victories,
Mm,
but it's hard. Like you said, you have to get to that place where you're like, okay, they can do this,
yes,
or they can do it to this level, you know, and
right. Right.
that that's hard.
Well, because you don't know what that level is unless you try it, right? So
Right,
now we're able to do what we need to do. Cam catches the bus by himself, locks the house, all the things. But
right,
it wasn't always like that. There were definitely stages, right?
right,
Schedule your rides on the day when one of us is home so that we can be here when the bus, like now,
right,
yeah, but there are stages. And I think if we parents would just pace ourselves and know that everybody's journey is not the same, right? They like
right,
that's why I always say social media has its good points and its bad points, right? Comparison is
right,
the joy. Like it is the thief of joy. And when you start looking and seeing kids, you have no idea what the work the parents have put in on the back end to get to what you see, which is why I can appreciate the parents who are showing us like live and up front. Like there are some parents that I'm just like, you know what, I applaud you. I could never show that part of my life on social media, but there are some parents who are like, I'm like, yes, now that's the real life of a child with autism.
right.
Let's show what it really looks like at home when things aren't exactly like when there were 7 pepperoni on there instead of 8. Let's talk about what that does for the rest of the night, right?
Yeah,
Let
for the rest of the night. You said that.
which may be into the morning if somebody decides they can't go. Like, let's show that. I'm not that person that can show that,
Right,
which is why I'm thankful for this podcast because we can talk through it. But there are
right,
some parents who are not they're like, you know what, we're going to show you what it really looks like here, and I applaud them for that. Because
right.
nobody really knows like how much strength it took for you to walk past your son who had his arm out reaching for you. Girl, I know that. I
Yeah.
your baby had his hand out and you didn't take it. Like I know that was a big step for both of you because I'm sure he was like, wait a minute, mom didn't grab my hand.
It was very different and you
Yes,
know, I also, like you said, with the parents that are putting it out there, we also have to remember there are some parents, we live in two different states.
yes,
Depending on what state you live in, the amount of resources that you have to help you even get to that point to transition. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you're saying that, there's a door-to-door option for transit, for Cameron, but they're actively trying to get rid of public transportation here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So if you do that, okay, so then how do I teach that part of adulthood? Because there is a chance, not because I'm limiting my child, but there is a very good chance that my 12-year-old is not going to be a person who drives a car.
Right.
Because of how his autism and his intellectual disability and other disabilities that he has presents itself. It's not safe for him to be behind the wheel of a car.
Right.
But if I live in a state that's removing public transportation,
Now,
I'm almost trapping my child in.
yes, agreed. Right. And do I feel safe putting my kid in an Uber, a Lyft? Like, let's be real clear. That's not something I feel comfortable doing. Right.
Right.
And so
Right.
to the point where you start thinking all these things. Like, at one point I thought, I'm just going to get him a driver.
Listen,
I'm going to do whatever I need to do to make sure that he has a driver.
Yeah. Because this is too much. Just too much.
Not realizing that he's fully capable of taking the paratransit.
Right.
In my head, I wasn't even going to give that as an option. Right. And
right.
The people who work with him are like, like, girl.
Now you say that Cameron, he's very independent. I mean, even from the things that the little bit that I even know about him, he's very independent. How did he get to that spot? Because like you said, he's about to be 30, but when did he start really kind of coming into his own of, this is who I am, mom, and this is how it's going to be, kind of a thing, personality wise?
Probably about 5 years ago. I would say 25.
Okay.
If I had to put a number on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the delay was partly him, partly me.
Okay.
Because I was very much that mom. And so I don't know that. And I don't know that he would have come into his own sooner. I don't know that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I can say that there were some things that I just continued to do for him that he can absolutely do on his own. Like there's no reason. And so, like, I remember distinctly doing something and he was just like, Mom, I can do that myself. Right. And I think we were at like a wedding or something.
Yeah.
And we were going through the line and I was like, yeah, he'll take that and he'll take that. And he just kind of looked at me and he said, Mom, I know what I have to eat. I can tell the servers what I want on my plate. And I was like, oh, you're right. You can. And it was those moments when he verbalized, like, Mom, I know what I'm doing. And now he'll say, I know what I'm doing. Okay.
I love that. My sons have kind of like a similar phrase where I'll be like, are you sure? Then they'll go, my yes means yes. And I'm like, oh,
I love it.
Well, check me then. My yes means yes. Okay. Oopsie, my bad.
Then there are other areas where he still totally needs my support. Right. So there are just things that you ebb and flow. So when he says he's got it, I believe him. And then if he asks for help, I help him. And that's hard.
So
that's hard.
So in like when you think back to Cameron being a teenager or even now, how does he interact with maybe somebody rejecting him? I don't even want to call it bullying because but especially at the teenage age, when they're in elementary, it's very wag the finger. We don't do bullying. But once they get to junior high and high school, the teachers and administration, they don't have time for it, unless it's a direct attack. They're kind of like, ugh.
So I think that's twofold. So his father and I were very much involved with school, of course, me as the educator, and school was really challenging as far as there was this one particular young man that Yeah, even think about it now, it still like makes me makes me want to clench. He would, yeah, the bullying thing is real, and
Right.
we experienced it probably from sixth grade till about ninth grade. And what I can say is that, I mean, to the point where at one point we removed him from the school bus because he came home with his glasses broken. And I was like, what happened to your glasses? And mysteriously, the video camera on the bus wasn't working that day. Um, However, we lived at that time, we lived in an apartment complex, and one of the other young boys that lived in the neighborhood was like, this is what happened to Cameron on the bus today. Like he told us what happened. And so all of those things. But the one thing I can say is um the way Cameron's autism presents, he's pretty much nonchalant and he doesn't really care. And so he's very direct, and
Okay.
those kind of social things, they bother us, but he's never verbalized to me that. And I often wonder, like, how did he manage through those times? But he never once said, I don't want to go to school. He never once said, like, none of that. And so he always had cousins that, thank goodness. One cousin who was like, I'll get suspended every time because what they're not going to do. Right. So, yes, he experienced it. And there were some really tough years, especially middle school. That sixth through the eighth grade was tough. I think I cried probably every day for 3 years. Um, but he came out unscathed. You know, we prayed a lot. You know, I
Yeah.
just always told him, if something's happening, you need to tell me. And his teachers were always very present.
Okay.
So they were aware, but yeah, it
Do you
was.
think some of that was some of his ability to, now going into about to be 30, and not really being, you know, being able his way of being able to handle it? Do you think some of that is because you taught him how to really just identify himself as who he is, and not just autistic, but also I'm Cameron?
So I think I always spoke positively to him. I waited a long time to even say the word autism to him.
Oh, okay.
I don't think that I ever even he's the first time I think he heard the word was in an IEP meeting, because I always took him to IEP meetings.
Okay.
And I just let them do their thing and talk. And I'm always affirming. My husband's always affirming. We leave the meeting, because they say all the markers, he's on this level. And so I said to them, I need you. Cameron is here. He might not be speaking, but he's listening. So I need you to reframe this conversation positively. You can say what you need to say to my husband and I separately, but when he's here, and then I just remember one time he just was like, Mom, I want to go back to class. I was like, you don't want to stay for the rest of the meeting? He was like, no. And I was like, that's interesting. Right. And so then we
Yeah.
get home and I said, hey, like, you always stay for your meetings. And he says, what's this autism thing they were talking about?
Okay.
And I think he was, I want to say seventh grade. I want to say
Mhm.
it was, can't remember if it was exactly seventh or eighth grade. And so I just said, hey, and we always went to the walks for autism. We always went to Autism Delaware. Like, we always were connected to the community and doing the things. But I don't know that he ever really attached that to himself. Right. Like,
Right. Right. That this is I'm a part of this.
right.
Right.
Um, And so seventh grade, I finally was like, okay, so this is what it is. And him, now he's Googling it, looking it up on YouTube, and all of a sudden he was like, well, that's not me. I said, well, because everybody's different.
Right. Right.
So this is you, and this is what you are. You are a great speller, right? You read on a reading level that I don't even know. Your vocabulary is like, you can spell any word that and so I just the constantly affirming, yes, you have challenges in this area, but this is where all your strengths are. And so I think we just combated it all by just constantly affirming and reaffirming and just being open and honest with him and requiring the people around him to do the same.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think and like you said about seventh grade, my boys are kind of like in that in between like late elementary,
Yes.
junior high. And this is like I could say honestly, this year is the first year that it kind of like clicked and they're asking more questions
Yes.
about it.
Mhm.
My 10-year-old, because his communication level is his verbal communication is higher than the 12-year-old.
Yeah.
He's very much so this autism. I'm like, yes, so this autism. Because he's also a complete and total ham. I don't
I
know
was
where he gets it
gonna say,
from.
he's your son.
Yes. He's like, so this autism. Is that why sometimes I get enraged? I guess I well, do you think it's sometimes why you get enraged? Let's talk about it, Isaiah.
Being 10.
Yeah. Or is that you? Yeah.
I mean, let's since we're having this conversation, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
But he is very much like I think for Isaiah, my 10-year-old, him getting to a place where we can put maybe a label on it.
Yes.
It has, especially since I homeschool him, a lot of his frustrations, and maybe this is wrong because, there's probably professionals that say no, but he'll take a deep breath and he'll go, it's okay. I have autism. I need to use my tools. Okay. Whatever works for you, son. If that's what you want to say and it helps you break it down, I rather him say that instead of thinking there's something broken, there's something wrong, and start thinking the negative. Oh, I can't. Oh, I'm stupid. It's, oh, I have autism. I just need to do something different. Okay. And so, in a way that's bringing him to a place where he wants to advocate for himself, for his own accommodations.
Mm-hmm.
And I
That's
think
important.
that's one of those positive transitions, right?
Yeah.
That, we can talk about like our kids get to a place where all the work that we did in those elementary school years,
Yes.
they do start feeling like you said, Mom, I can do this.
Yeah.
And it's not just, their hygiene or fixing their own plate or ordering off a menu. It's, I can ask for ear defenders or headphones if it's too loud.
Yes.
I can ask, may I leave the room, please? Even if I can't get headphones, may I leave the room, please?
Now
Like,
didn't walk across the back because Cameron was a pacer.
right.
He's got
Yeah.
right. He's got to move. And when I think about though the student when we were talking about earlier, the triggers and as you get older, like as he got older, kids knew what his triggers were, and they would
Yep.
intentionally do things that would bother him. And then when he started to be able to come home and say, you know what, Mom, today so and so wouldn't stop tapping his pencil. He just kept tapping, kept tapping, kept tapping, kept tapping. And I asked him and he wouldn't stop. And then I just started like I just had a meltdown. I just couldn't take it anymore.
Right.
And I told his teacher, I need you to watch the kids around him. They for better or worse, Middletown was a much smaller community at the time. He's been with the same group of kids, 5 or 10 switch out, but for the most part, a core group. We tried to include him as much as possible. So he was in with more, regular kids, as much as possible, normal kids, whatever that means in these days. And so, even as those transitions happen, like they're just so many transitions. And that is one of the most, whenever you're breaking a child, and that's the one thing I can say, Rochelle, that I have found as a common denominator amongst all people with autism, the change in routine is a thing. That is the, you know how they say every person on the autism spectrum, that I agree with, but I have not met one person, one child, one where a change in routine does not do something. I
Oh,
just
it does.
I That's the one thing I believe, and I'm just going to use my I statements. That's the one thing
Yeah.
I believe that is the through line. It is a common denominator.
Yeah.
And anybody watching this podcast has, a little one or an older one where that doesn't no, please send us an email. Ask an Autism Mom pod at gmail.com, because I need to know what's happening and what's going on. Ask an Autism Mom pod at gmail.com. If your baby, it does well with transitions, help a sister out, help us out. Send us an email and tell us what's working.
Okay. Because it's very difficult, those
Yeah.
changes. And so what I've noticed is that because my boys are going through hormonal,
Yes.
emotional,
Yes.
mental, developmental uh
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah.
And then even though we homeschool, the way that the curriculum is even made between elementary school and middle school, very, very different.
Yes.
So you want to talk about, it's an internal and external change all happening at the same time.
At the same time.
At the same time. So I would say the encouragement that I would give to parents who are going through all of this, I would absolutely say, one, the transition difficulties are normal,
Yes.
are normal. Two, don't feel ashamed. If you got to go back to old school, what you were doing in kindergarten, because one, like we said, that's a routine that they know.
Yes.
So the probability of them picking back up on it, their brain will go, oh, I remember what it looks like when I have these pictures up here. Okay. So
So
use it.
good, right? Because now I'm to the point where, okay, you need to catch the bus, but you need to make sure you got your house key. You need to make sure you took your lunch. You need to make sure, right? Cameron has the routine. Like he packs his
Yeah.
lunch, he's got all, but there are days when he'll like you make sure you grab your keys. Make sure like we put everything out the night before.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Let's try not to, because I remember the times, you were upstairs, you missed the doorbell, the bus left, and now you're crying out, honey, I'm at work, dad's at work. What are your options at this point? Because the bus is not coming back. I can call my auntie. You sure can. And
and
if
that's what I was going to ask you.
right, if she's not available to take you, then what can you do? So we talk through, we can't hit all the scenarios, Rochelle. It's just impossible. But we do
Right.
talk through the ones, but they're like in real time because I can't predict. And that's another thing that I can predict, right? There have been times where they dropped him off at the wrong location, right?
Yeah.
There, and he was on his phone all day, listening to music or whatever. And so
Oh
now
yeah.
he's dead. So he literally asked someone to use their phone. Thank
Yeah.
God. The covering. That's why you have to pray over your children. They dropped him off. There was a man there who was a security guard. He saw him standing outside. He came outside and was like what? This is not a. He brought him inside. He let him use the phone. He did not hurt, harm, do anything to my son other than keep him safe until I was able to get there. That is why it is so important. But do you know how long it was before I let him get back on that bus?
A month of Sundays, a while.
To get back on the bus the next day. Mom, why can't I get on the bus? The bus driver made a mistake.
Right.
So all of those transitions, we've had, it has not always been smooth.
Yeah.
He's missed the bus. He's cried. He's had hard days at work. And yes, you're going back tomorrow. And like there are
Mm,
there are always going to be transitions. You're never going to get away. And if you don't have autism, you're going to have transitions. But that just
absolutely.
exacerbates the situation. But I would just encourage you, all parents that are listening, to just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And what you do not let anybody convince you that what you're doing for your child is too much or too little. You
Yeah.
know what your child needs, but you also have to listen as they're getting older. When they say my yes means yes, or I know how to do that, you're just going to have to accept that and move with your child and allow them to grow up, because we all want our children to be independent at some whatever that level of independence looks like. Whatever that looks like. Cameron's still at home with us. Will he ever decide he wants to leave and go somewhere else? I don't know. Will I be ready for it when the day comes? Probably not. But it is what it is. For now, he's at home with us. It's where he wants to be.
Yeah.
And right.
And I like the fact that, something that we as autism parents can take, our kids can handle the natural consequences of things.
Yes, they can. Even though we
Um,
protect them fiercely from
right.
all from
And
all
and and I
from
and
all
I
of
right. And I understand that, like we said, autism is a big, huge spectrum. Get it. Uh, but there are things, there have been times that my boys forgot their headphones. One of the natural consequences of it is, if you get overwhelmed, we have to leave this very thing that you wanted to be a part of.
because I can only have so many extra pairs of headphones. And
Right.
already use the extras, and you take that into the house too, because we've got headphones in bags, in the car,
Yes.
in the glove compartment. Like, we got them everywhere. To
We got them everywhere.
headphones on the bus the other day. He came home, Mom, I left my headphones on the bus. So what are your choices? I think I have an extra pair upstairs. Then you're probably going to need to get those. Well, then I'm probably going to need to get another extra pair, right? Good thinking, son, because this is your last pair. Like,
And I understand that there may be some parents who are like, my child doesn't have that level of cognitive ability or executive functioning ability. Howsoever, you won't know unless you attempt to see what they can and cannot understand. When we talk about assuming competence,
yes.
right? That is part of the transition. We assume that they're ready for us to still teach them on
Yes.
a higher level, and we let them guide us and tell us, you know okay, this is where I'm at, this is where I can go. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
so for you to be able to say, hey, okay, like the fact that you had to teach him those phone numbers to call when his phone died. You had to teach him how to knock on a door and ask, "Can I use your phone, please?" I mean, use your phone, please. It's these are the kind of things that you have to teach.
And
They're not just going to automatically know these
I
things.
don't even know, Rochelle, like I can't even pinpoint a time when I taught that skill, right? It's just, right? I don't know if it was an observation. I don't know if it's something he read in a book. I don't know if I actually taught that skill, because in my head, when is that ever happening?
Or
Because
he saw it on a TV show.
right. And that's why I go back, cover your children,
Yeah.
because that could have gone a totally different way.
Yeah.
Totally different way. Um,
And
yeah,
just and like you said, so the transitions that, we're transitioning in how we teach our children. We're
yeah,
transitioning and how we view our children.
yes. Because I got a
Um,
whole grown man here,
uh,
a
there you go.
whole grown man.
There you go. We're even transitioning in a way in our face,
Okay.
because I don't know about you. I can't talk about anybody, what you call them, your I statements. I'm gonna give an I statement.
Okay.
When my boys were babies, I'm not going to sit here and say that I just had wild, crazy faith that God was protecting them because I was always with them. That's my babies. But that faith has to grow once you let your children step out. That you really got to put that. Okay, are you really having faith that they are covered and they are protected? Are you really having faith that that all the work that you put in those elementary years are going to show some type of fruit in that junior high school, adult years?
Walk it out. Can you go to work every day, Yolanda, and know that your son's going to get up, he's going to do what he needs to do, he's going to eat his breakfast, he's going to make sure he doesn't miss that bus, he's going to lock the door, he's going to set the alarm, all the things that he does. I am so thankful. I'm just so thankful because the way the diagnosis is given is so bleak. It's never optimistic, right? And so to see my son be able to do, and are there things that I hope that he'll be able to do that he doesn't currently do? Absolutely. But I choose to be thankful and grateful in this moment for everything that he is able to do on his own.
Yeah.
I can go places and he can be here, and I know without a shadow of a doubt that he's going to do what he needs to do to remain safe. He's not going to open that door for anybody. He's going to look at that Ring camera. He's going to call me or his dad if he thinks something's. I didn't even know he had my number memorized because his phone was dead, but he called my cell phone. I didn't even know he had my phone number memorized. What I do know is I had a little index card on the side of the refrigerator with my number, my husband's number, and his two grandmothers' phone numbers. So all I can say is every day when he went to that refrigerator, he's looking at them numbers. And what I know about my son, he's a walking dictionary. And if he sees it and it's written down, he's not going to read. So I know it was right here. He probably had a picture of that index card right in his head and was like, doo, mom, three, like. And so I'm thankful, Rochelle. Like I have to always, and that is what I would encourage all parents to be thankful for whatever this journey is that you're on. Just be thankful. Don't compare yourself to anybody else's journey. Don't have these milestones that are in the textbook. Like 10 for your son might not look like what 10 looked like for Cameron. 13, and those milestones of 13, 16, 21, they don't always look like what it looks like for everybody else. Your son might decide to drive, or you could be like my son and take driver's ed and still say, nope, people are not safe on the road. I'm not driving.
Not doing it. Yeah.
And can I disagree with you? Absolutely not, because people don't drive safely on the road, right? So your journey is your journey. Your kids' journeys are, and to your point, you have more than one child on the spectrum, and they're totally different. So you're having to manage transitions. 10-year-old for your other son doesn't look like 10-year-old looks like for Ethan, right? It's different. And so that's why we're here, to give information, to share our stories, to help, to support, to encourage. And no, we don't have all the answers, but we have lived experience, and we are happy to be here to be able to share it, because this transition thing, that's real.
It is. And I'll just say one last thing before we close. When we look at transitions and stuff, this is something that I really pray for all the parents who have autistic children, but also especially in the Black community. Everything doesn't have to be a struggle. We don't have to create struggle to prepare them for the real world. The world is already filled with struggles. Listen, we're in 2026. Okay? Just stepping out of your door, okay, is costing $5 a gallon. Like, we're in struggles, okay? There's struggles all over. No one is escaping the struggles of the world.
No, ma'am.
But we can, as the autism community, especially autism parents, we can be the change we want to see by going from we need to create struggle to we can create a community of support and structure
Right.
that benefits all. Because I
All.
have yet to see someone neurotypical or someone with autism or any other disability not benefit from the structures
Right.
that help people transition
Right.
and step into new levels. If you don't need that step and you can take 2 steps, fantastic. But there's some people that need half steps, quarter steps.
Yes.
So
Yes.
let's not eliminate the half and the quarter steps just because you can do 2 steps.
And
Thinking
it's
that
okay to do it for all the kids.
right, thinking that if we just make everybody do 2 steps,
Right.
it'll build them up. We don't have to do that because then we get to a place where, especially with autistic children, we end up with a shutdown because unregulated meltdown turns into a shutdown. And a shutdown is a lot harder to come back from. Okay. So that is the biggest thing that I would say about when it comes to transitions and stuff like that. It's not just about the hormones. It's not just about going from grade level to grade level.
Life things. I remember the first job that Cameron just couldn't keep. Like it wasn't working out for him. It wasn't working out for the employer. You talk about shut down. He, like, just hearing him talk, just, what did I do wrong? I tried to do my best. Like, it was so bad.
Right. Right.
It took a long time to crawl out of that hole.
Right.
And so, to your point, transitions are always happening.
Always.
And the employer did exactly what the employer should have done. He was not being successful. What good would it have done to keep him in that? It wasn't working out for him. It wasn't working out for the employer. His attitude was changing. He came home frustrated, upset, like this is not working. But did I want to protect him from ever having to leave a job? Absolutely. Could I? No.
No.
Good point.
Right. But that's why the world was the struggle that he could not escape. But we as parents can be that support.
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't say you ain't never got to work again. This is why you need to stay inside your room forever and ever. No, it's this thing did not work. Now we take the information we learned from that and we put it over here to find something that does work.
And verbalize. The next time we go back and we talk to your community navigator and your DVR worker and all the Delaware acronyms, I apologize, everyone. You need to verbalize. I was not successful because these were the expectations. I have my thoughts on why. I believe it because there was no set schedule. That's what I believe.
Right.
That you had different managers on different days and some were less. That's what I believe. But I need you to verbalize what made you come home frustrated.
Advocate for yourself and ask for the accommodations that you need.
Right.
And
because
that's what
job that says, because they all have to have the little disclaimer, Rochelle. They all have to have we accept them, we do not discriminate. But do you really? Because my son might need a little more than 2 15s.
Yeah.
1:30. He may need to take his breaks a little more frequently. So are we really?
Right. Reasonable accommodations.
Are we really?
Are we really? So, I just feel like we could talk about this forever and ever. I think we're going to have to break this up into like a multi-part thing about transitions. I think we need to talk about what it looks like preparing your child for the workforce.
Yes.
What it looks like preparing your child for higher education.
Yes.
Day programs.
Yes.
It's a thing. Even right now, I'm slowly becoming a sports mom.
Uh-oh.
I just found out what a defensive end is, friend. I just found out what one of those is, friend.
Ooh, we got a football player.
We could be. I'm learning, and I just found out what outfield is in baseball.
Well,
Okay, it's 2 years of him playing baseball.
I got a
I'm
sports
becoming
mom.
a sports mom, friend. But that's a transition too.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a whole nother transition too. Leaving the getting over the fear of being inside the home and putting your family out. We
Yeah.
went to a restaurant earlier this week, and I was amazed. My boys were able to order off a menu. No food was being thrown anywhere.
Look at that progress. Okay, family, I see y'all.
Okay. It may cost too much money for us to do this on a regular basis because
however,
there's 5 of us.
They're capable of doing.
However, I know that my boys can go to a restaurant.
That's right.
So with that, Dr. Yolanda, I'll give you the space to have some final words, and then just, close us out in prayer with some encouragement to parents who are dealing with these transitions, who are dealing with their own internal worries or stressors, and for the children and the families that are going from young childhood to teenage to even adults.
Yeah, of course. So I think I'll start with just the scripture. Philippians 1:6. It says, being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. God has begun a good work in your children, and he is going to continue doing what he does because he's God. And just remind you that where we're going, where our children are going, God is already there. He's already there. He's already made the path. It might not be a straight path. It might be a little crooked, but he's already there and he's already been there. God's not finished with your child. He's not finished with you. And even when it starts to feel uncertain, God still has a plan and you're covered by that plan. So, Lord, we thank you for trusting us with these incredible children. As they grow and change, God, give us wisdom, give us patience. Most of all, God, give us peace. Help us to see them the way you see them. Help us to remember that they are full of purpose. They are full of value and promise. Strengthen us for every new season, for every transition, and remind us that we are never walking this journey alone, that you are always with us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you all for watching Ask an Autism Mom podcast on the Touching You Talk Show Network. If you have any topics that you would like us to cover, please send them to Ask an Autism Mom pod, POD @gmail.com. Also, maybe you're an autism mom or you're a provider and you would love to be interviewed by two of the best autism mom interviewers this side of the Mississippi, although we're on two separate sides of the Mississippi. So pick whichever side you want.
Both sides of the Mississippi.
Both sides. We would love to interview you because our whole entire purpose is to give information to families. And if you've paid attention to anything that's going on politically, you definitely know that we have to come together as a community. Yes. So that we can help each other with resources, because as they cut funding, it's going to be up to us to stand in that gap. Okay. Also, be aware of when your election days are in your special states that you live in, because we got to fight for our children because no one else is going to do it. Okay. Use your voice and your vote. Use your voice and your vote. Okay. Again, this has been Ask an Autism Mom podcast on the Touching You Talk Show Network. We love you and we will see you again next month. Goodbye.
Bye.